Chaji. So I request Vendila to kindly introduce him.
Yes, a third speaker today is technologist, angel investor, public speaker, business matchmaking expert, Mr. Arijit Bhattacharya. He's a game programmer, virtual reality specialist, blockchain specialist, and globe trotter, of course. 2 decades of experience in finance and technology. He's a technologist, artist, comic story writer, and superhero creator with a rare combination of finance and digital banking as his background. He's a founder and CEO of Virtual Infocom, India's one of the first game development and deep tech solution companies since 1998. He's a founder of World Leaders Summit, founder of Entrepreneur Face, helps entrepreneurs to start up their business by helping them from ideation stage to execution to fundraise. His list is endless. In fact, he has so much accolades in his domain, and we're extremely lucky. But I would like to say one thing that creativity, his field is something that relates to creativity, creating new things, and his games are so good. I've seen some of his Facebook videos about the games that he makes with superheroes, and they're just awesome. They're big, huge, students and youngsters are huge fan of his work. Mr. Bhattacharya, we're so great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for the beautiful and lovely introduction. Thank you, Inadi, for inviting me in this forum. So I was actually watching a couple of chat that's going on in the chat box. Even though we have a specific subject line and topic talking about Engineers Day, but when we talk about engineers, usually I love to make any kind of speech in an interactive mode, but because this is Zoom, to answer both of your questions, people who are looking for job, before I go deep dive into what's coming up into sustainable development. Well, future is not about the certification that you are getting. Future is not about the degree that you are going to get from any kind of industry or any kind of university. Even though you have got best of the best certification, you stood first or second or third, industry doesn't bother actually about your what marks that you have got or from where you are actually getting your degree or diploma or master degree. Industry is bothered about the skill set. The next generation is going to sustain on the skill set only, and that's the only answer. So if you're looking for a job, rather you do opposite things. You ask the industry to find you. How are you going to do that? Just upgrade and uplift yourself. To be very honest, coming back from the industry, which is probably not very highly spoken in the eastern part of India, which is game development or virtual reality, we have been looking for people for so many years. In 2021, if I'm asking you that, do you know how to program games? Do you know any kind of engine? Can you take the load of probably some project? The answer is no. So if the answer is yes, if you're asking for looking for job, I'm the one who can give you the job right away, right now, in this moment. You have the skill set, I'm there to recruit you. So coming back to the point of sustainability, to be very honest, I have been speaking since morning, 6 a.m. onwards from various different countries today itself. And we have been discussing about only one aspect, which is artificial intelligence. When we talk about probably engineers and solving global issues, we are all talking about technological solutions. We are all talking about the high impact things that's going on. Would love to understand your point of view when you talk about sustainability. What do you understand about artificial intelligence? Is it going to snatch your work? Robots will actually take your work and you'll be jobless? Answer is no. Who is going to control all these kind of machines? Who is going to code all these kind of machines? When we talk about IoT, who is going to do all such kind of coding? Let me be very, very practical and probably talk about a couple of my invested portfolio companies, what they are doing and how much job is there in the market. Maybe that will interest a lot of you students. So I'm not going to take a lot of example from various parts of the world, but probably I'll take maybe 6 or 7 example. You will get to know what are the kind of job that is there in the market and how you can grab it and what is the sustainability factor during that. I'm not sure whether you have heard about Parvati Foundation. That's a foundation which actually works on climate change, and it's a big global movement that these guys are doing. These guys are from the western part, but they have been heavily impacted and impressed by our own culture, which is our own Indus Valley culture, Bharatiya culture, and they renamed their English name into Indian name. So Parvati Foundation is actually run by a lady. She's a musician. What she did, she started a movement by giving training to people talking about the global meltdown that's happening in oceans, in Arctic oceans and a couple of other places. Now, how to talk about it, how to go towards people. You know how they are doing it? They are creating virtual reality based movies, giving education to world leaders, to prime ministers, to chief ministers, to change makers, that what's going on in various parts of the world. Because of all those kind of war, because of all those kind of ships that is there nearby that Iceland, probably that's the reason the ice is melting. And how you can solve it, there is an AI-based solution which is giving them the exact real-time data, how to solve, how to change all those kind of aspects. Now, when I'm there as an ambassador, of course, I always love to work. I don't hold position just for nothing. So we are impacting things with 4 different other body who actually create solution on solar energy. So what they are doing, they're changing all the electrical elements inside those small islands. I can go on with the list of those islands who are actually affected by the global meltdown. So when you talk about sustainability, these islands, their ministers, their prime ministers, they are taking a decision that, okay, we're not going to use coal. We are not going to have any kind of heavy industry which requires a lot of natural resource. Rather, they're shifting it into a complete sustainable energy base. So when you're talking about such kind of implementation, I'm not sure how many students are from electronic, electrical, or such kind of courses. There is a huge possibility where you can probably learn and understand how to convert a factory from natural resources segment to a complete sustainable solar panel resources segment. When you are talking about batteries, understand how lithium battery works. Lithium battery is one of the key factor where you're gonna change your car into a complete electronic car mechanism. There, your lithium battery plays a very vital role. And to produce lithium battery, you need a very specific kind of industry segment. So when you are learning anything on engineering, I'll highly recommend you keep in mind what's going on in and across the world. You know how things are evolving in USA. In one of my foundation there, they built a hovercraft mobile cover. So when we talk about mobiles, so let me show you how it works. You all have smartphone, right? Now, this is your normal usual smartphone. I'm using an iPhone, so it doesn't matter if you are using Android, doesn't matter. So you just convert your mobile cover into a hovercraft. What happens if you are physically disabled, if you probably can't see, but you have a voice, it can recognize only your voice itself. It's a patented technology which can understand you as human. And it can detect, understand where you are going, it can follow, and it can hover in and around you, and it doesn't require any kind of external battery. What they have done, they have created the entire case utilizing solar power in a very small chip, which is integrated into the case itself, which gives power to the mobile, plus it hovers the case itself. World is changing, guys. You need to understand how world is changing. I'm not touching upon the MNCs who are actually creating massive work into the sustainability, because my earlier speakers already spoke about it, and that was so well that I really don't need to touch upon that. I'll be touching upon a couple of small things, which is a big change in the world, and a lot of MNCs are actually buying those kind of solutions. Let me take you to Finland, to 2 guys who are actually aged about 72. I'm not sure about your age. At the age of 72, a couple created a solution which is basically a glass which can clean air inside your room. It gives you cooling, it gives you heat at the same time. It requires electricity in a 25% less electricity required, just like, you know, if you replace your AC. AC just gives you a cooling system. It doesn't clean air inside. It doesn't take out the carbon from the room and put in a small box and then you can recycle it. These guys are making such kind of changes. Do you know there is another startup who is actually, they became huge. They raised recently around $250 million. They created a digital bank. When you're talking about AI, when you are talking about technology, when you're talking about coding, you need to understand how world is evolving. Okay, let me give you a small perspective. We all put money in banks, right? Now in bank, what happens? There are holidays. It may happen, it is a second Saturday or fourth Saturday, half days. Sunday, they don't work. Awesome, great. We are habituated with that. But that's your money. You're putting your money into the bank and then they are utilizing your money to the industry. The whole economy works like this. But why on earth you're not entitled to work on Sundays? That's your money they're using and you're not getting the service. That's why there is a system that came up in the world and the whole world is shaking with that. It's called decentralized system powered by blockchain. We call it as DeFi. Okay, so all these kind of technologies are there to simplify mankind, and the evolution of mankind is happening in a very rapid stage. You don't need to follow only Elon Musk. You can follow all these people who are making changes. Look at Africa. They have been changing their entire structure for last 7 to 8 years. Do you know during this pandemic how many of their SMEs evolved globally? You need to understand that. Where there is a need, there is a requirement of people. Now, a lot of you are actually asking very simple question. I really don't deny the fact that probably in Bengal, we lack a lot of knowledge, but I would love to ask seriously to you students. You're asking what are the future scope of electronic engineering? Huge scope. What exactly I was talking about for last, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. Do you listen? If not, probably you can have the recorded version and maybe watch it carefully. Okay, now a specific question. Let me take a couple of questions and get back to the speech again. Shomojit Nag, a BTech second year student, what should be the skill set of aspiring game developer? Super. Learn Unity. That's one of the basic free tool that you can get. If you know C++ and you love C++, you want to be a programmer, learn Unreal Engine. If you are a Lua lover, go for CryEngine. If you love probably a different language, which is C#, go for Unity. Easy to learn, easy to access. A lot of tutorials are there in the internet. You don't need to learn from probably an institute. It's a self-teaching and training method. You know what's going on? Okay, let me be very, very honest with you. There are kids who are specializing in such kind of technologies. Forget about engineers. Okay, I'm talking about school students. I'm talking about students who are aged about, around 10, around 11, up to 13, 14. Look at Indian perspective. There are developers in India who are making amazing, cool applications, and they are learning from the internet. And you know what's going on? These guys created a group who are giving free training to other kids from various parts of the world. So you need to understand, if you have a power of internet, you have a communication method, how you are utilizing it. Are you watching movies? Kudos, great. Life is a circle. If you are watching movies, great. In future, probably, I don't know, you need to learn and give a lot of time to upgrade your skill set. Are you utilizing your time at the moment? Then learn a specific technology. You don't need to go for game development or AI or whatever I was talking about. You can learn a very basic thing. How many of you are from the technology background? I guess around 90% to 95%. How many of you can write technical documentation? Can you become a technical writer? There is a huge need. Forget all these codings. Okay. If you are an engineer and you can write technology blog, there is huge need. Huge need. In entire market, there is a big gap of writers. Technology journalism is the next future. If you are, talking about specific about such kind of industry. If you're talking about probably non-technological work, well, technology is to solve the need of industry. You need to understand that, right? Talking about food chains, talking about FMCG, all these industries are nowadays using technology to simplify their work. So you really don't need to go here and there. Make up your mind. If you really love one language, learn it, master about that language. And there is job in the market. You will be surprised to know how many jobs are there, right? I know multiple number of engineers who have passion about photography. Do you know what they did? They actually used their engineering knowledge into doing photography, creating amazing vlogs and earning money on their own. Why didn't you do that? When you're talking about sustainability, why didn't you start a movement into your community itself? When you're talking about probably giving food to poor people, why didn't you create a very simple app which will ask people for donation, probably 5 rupees from each person? It can become a huge movement. So engineering is not about, honestly speaking, not about your syllabus. If you have a syllabus, great, kudos. Can you change the syllabus at this moment? Answer is no. But can you uplift your skill set? Answer is yes. So why bother about whether there is a job or whether there is no job? Why asking people? Make up your mind. If you have a passion of on a very specific thing, go for that. Go for that. Today itself, we have been talking in Singapore, and I was raising a case of one student who was basically a sports person, joined a very high level course because he ranked very high in his sports in his earlier school. And then when he joined that high level school, he couldn't sustain the present education. So why put that sports person into educational segment which is not needed? Rather, you put them into a sports education school. He will rise like anything. Okay, I'll give you a live example of a couple of people. Maybe you can Google them. Just search for Bruce Hoppo Hopkins. That's a guy from Australia, runs a massive movement. He is basically what he does. He is basically a life-saving guard in Australian Sea. And he is a movie star. He is basically a TV star called a program called Bondi Rescue. Now, why I'm taking his name? Lifeguard, TV star, how it is connected with technology. You know what he does? To teach people, to teach kids, he is using virtual reality. You wear a glass in your eyes, and it will actually teach you how to swim, how not to go to the water when situations are bad. So these are the kind of situations that people are creating and utilizing technology. Let's not talk about very high level stuff like probably Microsoft or probably Google. These guys are doing massive work. But if you really want to touch upon the basics, learn such kind of things. Simply put your idea in a very simplistic manner, execute it. Don't stick to your only idea and pitch to people. You're not here to win a business plan competition. If you are here to make your career, execute about your career, I'm sure that you're going to shine like anything. I think I'll stop myself over here because I took, I think, around 20 minutes of time. That was my time limit. So over to the organizers.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. Thank you very much. Very informative and good suggestions to the students. I quickly pick up 1-2 questions because there is not much question. One question answer you have already given. Another 2 straight question to you. I showed is Go, a BTech first year student. My question is regarding the fact that what is the most popular programming language for game development?
I already answered him in the chat, but for the voice, the answer is C#.
C#, yes. Another, I do not know, this is a question that maybe both of you can answer because I have seen Gautam Banerjee has left. So what is the future?
Shomojit Nag, can I take this question, sir?
What is the future? No, Shomojit Nag, you already said.
No, there is another question from him.
What is the future scope of electrical engineering department? Electrical engineering.
Okay, so electrical engineering, I'm not sure if you're talking about Bengal syllabus. But if you're talking about exactly electrical engineering, there are automated gates which is being produced. There are smart system which is there. There are IoT solution which people are making. So if you are capable of doing that, I'll be more than happy to direct your probably your CV or your group of students to the exact recruiters. Not a problem. I can see another question from Shomojit Nath again. As well, we are aware of the fact that Indian parents are not much fond of the word game. Then why the institutions are not popularizing the courses related to the game development? First and foremost answer, to be very, very honest, there are courses, but unfortunately, these courses are so primitive that this is not actually game development. This is practically a very basic level of probably game art. You are right. Game, when you hear this word, game itself, people feel that it's all about play. But unfortunately, game development is much beyond that. It's not about only play. Rather, defense nowadays are using gaming technology. Automotive industry use gaming technology. Aviation, aircraft maintenance, creation, all of them are creating their solution utilizing gaming technology. You need to reframe the word called game. This is basically game technology rather than gameplay or game art. Now, when we talk about game development, yes, that's a challenge. Parents probably won't understand. Don't bother about it. If you are passionate about that, please go for it. Okay. Now, if you can, maybe if you ask me that, what are the future scope? Who are the companies who are hiring it? Multiple number of companies are there. Just Google. You don't really need to get this answer from me. There are multiple companies who are looking for developers. Even I'm looking for proper game developers. Okay.
Another question, it's from Ankit Mukherjee, but we are not very sure about your branch. You said we passed out student from in the 2017, but still not getting any job till now. But I do not know, we do not know what is your branch of engineering. Any suggestion from Mr. Ghosh or Mr. Bhattacharya? Anything?
Well, Ankit, I'm not sure from which branch you are, but frankly speaking, if you are an engineer, engineers are actually meant for creating solution. If you're looking for a job, would love to understand what is your skill set. Again, I'll go back to my own words. Skill is the only answer. Are you good at programming language? Then let's identify which language we are talking about. Is it the good old C++? Then I fear there is a job in the market. Is it the latest generation technology that you're talking about? Are you good in Python? Probably that can lead you towards AI. I'm not sure about the specific question, so I'm unable to answer directly.
Dr. Goswami,
Yes.
We will be circulating a feedback form to all the participants by tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe they can raise their questions if they have many more questions, which we can forward it to Mr. Bhattacharya or Mr. Ghosh or
Right,
Gautam and
even
Arijit.
Mr. Gautam Bhatt, right.
Yeah.
I'll take and then I'll go back to Mr.
Yeah,
Ghosh.
Arijit has given his URL there, so maybe.
Fine. Mr. Bhattacharya, this is I'm asking to you. Somebody wrote about that I did my MA in English or whatever. So how this your gaming platform that can be help them to getting job or that kind of things?
Sir,
He has
let me reframe what all I do. Probably that will help all the other dignitary panelists and the students. So of course, I run a game development studio. Apart from that, I run a investment banking company, which probably you have heard about, Entrepreneur Face. And I run another company based out of Australia, Sydney, called Avenue Global, with two of my other partners, which is again a fundraising platform. I run an acceleration program based in Dubai. That's basically legally registered over there. Of course, I run a funding platform, and of course, I run a business platform. So coming back to the question of English in MA, I am not bothered about your MA or your BA. If you can create and write content, if you are illiterate according to our education system, but if you can write great content, SEO-centric and user-friendly, people can read, feel free to connect. There is a URL. Hop in over there, put your CV, we'll be happy to check your skill set.
So I suppose Vishwajit Mondal, you got your answer. And now I just the last question, then I wrap up the things. I'll give it to Indril to wrap up. Question to Mr. Ghosh. This is my, whatever the discussion was going on. Let me say this thing, because what is the expectation from the industry perspective? You said about that expectation from the fresh graduate in terms of the engineering. I'm talking about the societal part, the academical part, or whatever the another question, because I mentioned about one thing I mentioned that Mr. Gautam Banerjee in his speech said, he touched upon, like, and I know that Telangana government, they have developed a project concept. They picked up the very good brain from MITs or other places, those who are from Tamil Nadu and the Telangana, this thing, and they have introduced them and engaged them to the project, which has a direct connection with the farmer and that kind of rural areas, like crops destroyed by the different kind of insect. They find out the insect characteristics, then did the pattern recognition AI concept, and then they have developed the FAMTOFs also, gave it to the farmers, so that they have introduced their new laptop kind of things, even to know the study. Another, they have in Telangana, due to this heat, huge heat in summer, many people do not know what is the temperature fluctuation. They went to the field and the maximum number of death cases was there. There also some kind of prediction model is being introduced. So looking into this today's context of today's discussion context, so what kind of blending mixture of engineering, because you are from chemical engineering and you have changed your these things, you are now working in the field of data science. So what is actually they require? Because all the courses, like we have the orthodox kind of systems everywhere. So these are what kind of blending, major minor, as I said, can be blended so that their employability will enhance, even they can work good and in the industry perspective also, you can be also very benefited in that way.
That's an interesting question, Dr. Goswami, because well, the blending will probably depend a lot on, what is the final area of work that they actually select. But let me try and answer that question more from my area, my field, because of course, I can talk to that, in a more confident way because I've seen that happen. See, one of the things is, if I just purely talk about the field or area of data science for now, I'm just restricting myself to that. Okay. Right? Of course, if we are looking at the skill set of, mostly the data engineers, right? Or, the programmers and the coders, right? It doesn't matter, as Mr. Bhattacharya said, I mean, as long as you can, really code, you can program, you understand the concepts, you are there. But then there is something which goes beyond, right? Where the use of mathematics, the use and the understanding of systems, storage, data at the machine level, right? That becomes important, right? So if you are going to create something innovative, you're going to think about something which is very different. And I will give you an example. And just to make you understand, or make the audience understand, what I'm talking about here. There was in IBM, we actually worked on for a very large retailer in South Korea. Okay. There, the problem was that it was a recommendation system. Recommendation systems, as we all know, are one of the most complex systems in the world. Okay. This system actually used deep learning to solve the challenge of, what should I recommend to my shopper. Okay. On the face of it, if you just look at the concept part of it, well, any statistical modeler, who comes from the ISI could have solved it. From a programming part of it, anybody who's a programmer could have solved it. But the challenge that we faced out there was, this needed significant computation power. And we didn't have that amount of computation power. So was there an innovative mechanism, an innovative way that you could reduce the problem from a very large problem requiring significant amount of data through a funnel using collaborative filtering techniques, right? Who was the person who, or rather, what was the skill sets, that was needed to be able to do that? So you needed folks who really understood the mathematics behind doing that, which a programmer would not be able to do. You needed some, the mathematician, because there you would not actually get the business consultant who translated the business problem and conceptually translated it from the business side to what was needed from a technology angle. So there was a gap out there, and then that system had to be put into production, right? So then the idea was, did you have ML ops engineers or I mean not DevOps but mostly ML ops engineers who can keep on refreshing the models? Now let me come back to your question and the intermixing of skill sets. In today's day and age, to solve a problem, if I were to just build a model, programming helps, conceptually understanding how to build the model helps. But if I were to really put something into a production environment, and which is becoming the challenge of tomorrow, because see what is happening is most of these hyperscalers, what I mean by hyperscalers, the Azures, the AWSs of the world, right? They have started building in applications which make it very easy. The programming is also, to an extent, a lot of it is kind of being taken care of to an extent. Again, of course, we definitely need good programmers, but there are certain concepts, there's a certain level of abstraction to which they have been able to bring the programming of today. What is becoming important, and this is my experience of seeing this around, is if I build a system, can I put it into a production environment? Can I make it run? Because the biggest challenge which most companies face is not the build of the algorithm, but making it run in a production environment with their real-time data, right? And then keep on refreshing those models over time. So in the future, we would definitely need skill sets which can also do that, which is helping put things into a scalable model. Scalability is something that we talk significantly in IBM today, and I'm pretty sure they talk about it in most of the other ITES organizations, right? Because that is what the clients really want as of today. So very long-winded answer. I just wanted to give us a feel for what are the various aspects that go into solving a problem right from the scratch to putting it into a production environment. Putting it into production and scaling is not a simple problem. And that is becoming one of the challenges of tomorrow. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So there are many questions, maybe once you open up, because the many questions will come in. So as madam, you said that you will distributing the feedback. So to all participants, if you have any question further, and if any question being unanswered, so we'll definitely take back your questions and give it to back. I offer to, before I give it to the Oindrila to finish up, just on a concluding remark, let me share one thing, say something. It is in today's context, it is indispensable for engineers to strike a fine balance between safety, strength, and sustainability aspects in any development, as any construction without sustainability and rationality is regressive and remorseful. So engineers steer technology advancement and foster innovation to achieve global par excellence, and engineers must profoundly leverage new technologies to detect the impact and risks backed by research and solution to make the development viable and suitable. With this, my concluding note, over to Indira for the rest of the program. Thank you. Thank you, all the speakers. Thank you very much, Mr. Ghosh and Mr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you so much. What a session. What an engrossing and enriching session. Truly, all the speakers and Dr. Goswami and everybody, what a session. If I'm not from the tech background, but after this session, I myself, I want to pursue something in tech. I've been so inspired myself. I think Professor Chattopadhyay would like to say something, and then over to you. Ma'am, sir, you're muted. Sir, you're muted.
One particular person who actually attended, Vishwajit Pal, just check the credential. Most probably we have to take care of that particular person. person. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, absolutely. So, ma'am, do you want to maybe?
Yes, Indila, I don't have words to say anything after the two speakers, what they have said. What I've understood is for the students, and also especially the future students, the aspirants, engineering and technology, vis-a-vis technology engineering, is needed. Anything from healthcare to entertainment to finance, everywhere. The other day, on a lighter note, the other day, a very senior person just mentioned that yes, technology is even required in the boti and churi that you use to chop your vegetables. Yes, of course. So technology is required everywhere. Engineering, be that electrical or electronics or civil or whatever, every domain of engineering is required across sectors. Mr. Ghosh, thank you so much. Arijit, tomake thanks diye choto kora hobe. Always daken mathay tumi asho. But to both of you, my earnest request is hopefully we'll be having a vibrant university again with students fluttering there. So we need the two of you, one by one, to come and visit our campus, address the students, have a physical face-to-face interaction with them, which I'm sure will be very, very helpful for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.